Hello, everybody. Welcome. So it's so exciting to see how many of you choose to spend your evenings with us, learning a little bit more about the college admissions process and today's specific focus on financial aid. Again, thank you so much for joining us this evening and welcome to the STARS College Network Financial Aid Information Session presented to you by Brown University, University of Iowa, and Massachusetts Institute of Technology. My name is Trinidad Carney. I'm an Associate Director at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and I'm joined by my wonderful colleagues, Stephanie Ito from Brown University and Jess Klein from University of Iowa. And we're really excited today to inform you a little bit more about the STARS Network. Many of you are logged in today, so you know the Small Town and Rural Student College Network is a consortium of 16 colleges and universities dedicated to working with high school students and access organization to widen the path to higher education for rural and small town students. Through this initiative, we're offering great resources about how to prepare and plan for future college access. We provide free college counseling services like done through this webinar, in-person visit experiences through many of our institutes, and additional opportunities such as Khan Academy and Schoolhouse World's partnership to provide free math prep to our STARS scholars. So we're really excited to tell you a little bit more about STARS and about our institutes as well. And with that said, we'll leap right into the financial aid session.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Jess Klein. I'm a senior admission counselor at the University of Iowa. I'm going to kind of break down the first couple of slides of financial aid information for you this evening. So what you see on your screen is kind of some simple information, and hopefully I can help explain this a little bit more in depth. So talking specifically about a couple of different types of financial aid that you will hear about and potentially see on an offer letter is need-based aid and merit-based aid. Starting with need-based aid, this is a type of aid that is obtained by demonstrating financial need. So for example, we'll talk a little bit more about the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, in just a moment. This is one type of application that you can submit to demonstrate, for example, how much your family typically makes in an average calendar year. And that is typically used to determine if you are eligible for any types of need-based programs. For example, one of those might be the Pell Grant, which is available by filing the FAFSA. So need-based aid is truly based on your family's income, and from there determining if you fall within guidelines to receive any sort of that need-based aid. Need-based aid is kind of referred to as gift aid. Sometimes there is no need to repay something. So for example, if you hear the term grant, we'll talk more about this in a moment. Typically need-based aid is money you never have to give back. So that is definitely the type of aid you want to see on a financial offer letter when you are exploring colleges and universities, because that is money that is going to cover the cost of tuition and fees that you will not owe once you graduate. Sources of this aid could potentially come from the federal or state government. It could come specifically from your school as well. So there's a number of different types of need-based aid, but the biggest part of that is just remembering this comes from financial need and demonstrating that. Excuse me. The second portion of this is merit-based aid. Merit-based aid is obtained through some sort of achievement or accomplishment. So this may be tied to academics and obtaining a certain GPA or a certain test score on the SAT or ACT. It may also be given through different types of achievements such as athletic achievements or music achievements, achievements in your community, or by writing the best essay. Whatever the scholarship requires is kind of the basis for obtaining that merit-based aid. So a lot of the times, especially at the University of Iowa, when I'm talking about merit-based aid, it's academics, but this could be potentially a bunch of different types of things. Scholarships, specifically like merit-based aid scholarships, those are also things you want to see because you do not need to pay that back after college. So any sort of merit-based aid is earned based on something you did. There is no need to repay that. This could potentially be earned through an application, or it could be automatic depending on the school that you are applying to. And it could be specific criteria, or it may be up to a committee. So there's a number of different ways that merit-based aid could be obtained as well. Diving a little bit deeper into some other types of aid you'll see as well. I kind of mentioned the word grant a moment ago, but grants are typically something you do not need to pay back after college. So if you think of it as granting you something or gifting you something, you definitely want to see these. These are need-based as well in most cases. Scholarships, I mentioned that a moment ago as well. This is earned. You do not need to pay that back. That is meant to provide you some stipend or some way to relieve the cost of tuition and fees based on something well that you did. But you may also see loans and work study. Loans you do have to pay back. These are paid back typically with interest, and that interest rate can vary depending on the source of the loan. So if you take out loans to cover the cost of any sort of education, when you graduate, you will typically start repaying those in monthly installments within about 6 months of post-graduation. That interest rate adds on to the total cost of the loan as well. So for example, if you take out $10,000 in loans and your interest rate is 10%, that's quite a high interest rate, and that does increase that monthly payment. So loans are something you want to try to typically reduce when you're taking a look at college and institutions' financial aid offer letters as well. There are also different types of loans. So there are loans through the federal government. Those are obtained by filing the FAFSA, and every single FAFSA filer, regardless of family income, has access to those. And I always recommend students work with their financial aid office on whatever campus they choose to discuss loan options, and if that's a good choice for them to make that school a good financial fit. The final one is work study. Work study is typically a part-time job on your college or university's campus. This is for students to subsidize that cost with working on their campus. And typically that goes towards tuition and fees, or you are supposed to put it towards tuition and fees to help cut down on the cost of college overall. It typically doesn't cover the entire cost, but it's a great way to help subsidize a few $1,000s here and there and kind of add to your financial aid package so that you're trying to avoid some of those loans as well.
All right, so now you know what the different types of aid available are. We're going to go a little bit more in depth into how do we calculate what your financial aid package looks like. And so the first thing we want to go over is we're going to talk about the cost of attendance. So the cost of attendance is exactly what it sounds like. It's the total cost for the entire school year, and it's determined by each school. So you may sometimes hear the phrase sticker price to describe the cost of attendance. That's often what is used in our world. And what it really means is that total cost. And what it can include is it includes the tuition and fees, housing, books, supplies, transportation, and any sort of personal expenses that one might have. And as you can imagine, the cost of attendance is going to vary from institution to institution. You have a couple different institutions represented here tonight, and the way we each calculate it is going to be different, particularly given differences in private schools versus public schools, right? State residents, or you're not a resident, it doesn't matter. So again, it's going to look different for each school. Now, what you're going to be able to do, though, is to go on any of our websites, whether it's our admission website, it could be the financial aid website, it could be a kind of a mishmash of both. But what you'll be able to do is go on any institution and look up the cost of attendance to find out what exactly is that total cost that includes all of the different categories that I just named. And something that you want to talk about or you want to look for when you are looking at all of this is something called the net price calculator. And the net price calculator, we love acronyms in higher education. And so you might see it as NPC. That is one of the acronyms that we have. But what you can do is it's available on every single college or university's website. And it allows prospective students to enter the information, personalized information about themselves to get an idea of what might be the actual costs out for that student and that family after taking into consideration the grants and scholarships that that institution might be able to provide. And so there are a couple different ways that you can find the net price calculator. You can go through the Department of Education, the federal website to look for it. College Board has a net price calculator. The big college search has a function for that. Or sometimes the easiest thing to do is you just Google the institution that you are interested in and then type in net price calculator, and that will pop up. And it gives you an idea of what it is that we do on our end in our financial aid offices to figure out what that total price might be. Now, this next slide is going to go over, that's great. Now I know about the different types of financial aid. I know about the cost of attendance. Now, how do I apply? So we heard this phrase over and over. You're going to keep hearing it over and over. And that's that middle box, that FAFSA, which really stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And I want to put an emphasis on the word free. It is a completely free application. So if you ever come across any sort of website that says you need to pay a fee to apply, that is not the actual FAFSA. So just make sure that you're looking at the actual FAFSA. That's through our Department of Education. And so you can go online and fill that out. That's basically going to be the baseline application that every institution is going to ask you to fill out. It's going to be inclusive of some tax information. It's going to ask you for some assets. You can also go onto the website right now and look at what that FAFSA is going to look like and what kind of questions. And if you look at the net price calculator, some of those questions actually emulate what the FAFSA looks like as well. Now, something that you want to know as other institutions, this is where it gets a little bit complicated because different institutions are going to have different types of applications or calculations that we make. So you might have a state-specific application that is particular to that state or particular to that state school or that state school system. And then you're also potentially going to see something called the CSS profile, which is short for the College Scholarship Search. And that is an application that is given through College Board, and different institutions might use information in the CSS profile. Now, I know the most frustrating thing you're going to hear over and over and over from admissions officers on this college application process is the answer, it depends. And the question to which application do I need, or applications plural, do I need to fill out for my particular institution that I'm interested in? And I'm afraid the answer is it depends. And so this is definitely going to want to be you'll want to include this as part of your research when you're looking at the different universities that you might be in. What is it that is required for me to apply, and when are the due dates for these different types of applications for financial aid? And is it separate for the application for admission? And typically the answer is going to be yes. You're going to fill out multiple applications, one for the financial aid piece and the other for the admissions piece. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much. So now we've gone over a little bit about the definitions, about sorting out the cost of attendance. So net price calculator, great tool for you to figure out the overall cost of the sticker price of an education at a university, housing, tuition, books, meals, all of that stuff. But that doesn't necessarily, that means that's what you're going to be paying, right? So all of this is about calculating your financial aid. So colleges figure out how much financial aid they'll offer you in part by calculating your expected family contribution. Now, there's a lot that goes into it, specifically calculating financial aid. And again, school dependent, there might be different things they take into account in their formulas, but things they'll look at is family income, assets, how many siblings you may have already in college that your parents are covering the cost of, right? So there's a lot of things that are going to be calculated in deciding what your financial aid package would be. It's not quite so simple as just your family's income, right? And so this is all done through a calculation where they work out what your family's expected family contribution is, your EFC. So again, colleges, universities, we love those acronyms. You've heard the NPC, net price calculator. Now is EFC, expected family contribution. And it really is a measure of your family's financial strength. It's a number that's calculated using the FAFSA, the CSS profile, and other financial aid forms. And so the other financial aid forms, again, could be, pay stubs, income statements, things like that, to really get the full picture of your financial status. And again, thinking about things, how much debt does your family have? How many siblings are they already paying for in college? Which also means that multiple the children from the same family could get very different financial aid packages, even from the same school, because as more students go to college and from one family, of course, the financial availability from your family is going to change. So that's why the EFC is calculated. It measures what your family actually is expected to pay towards tuition. And it is something that can be reassessed each year as your family's financial status may change. So it is not a fixed number, and your financial aid award also may not be a fixed number. Schools may do this differently, especially if they're merit-based versus need-based. But for the most part, every year your financial aid can be reviewed and adjusted based on your current standing and your current financial status. And so calculating your financial aid, as I mentioned, is all about using, schools will use this EFC. But you might want to have an estimation now on what your financial aid award could be. And so there's some great resources that can help you kind of estimate what that could be. So pointing out two really great resources here are that is your EFC calculator. This is the easiest way to do it, to say about it. So we've already heard the net price calculator, which will help you calculate the overall cost of attendance. Now your financial aid calculator or your EFC calculator is a great tool to figure out now and estimate what your expected family contribution could be. So one of the best resources, and the one that I recommend most to students, is going to be the calculator found on My Intuition. My Intuition is an online tool that provides quick and easy information about college affordability. It shows the projected cost of college once financial aid is factored in. So it helps you understand and plan for college will actually cost you. So while the net price calculator is the sticker price for education, My Intuition will actually give you what your actual cost to attend based after your financial aid package is received. Now, do keep in mind that these only provide you an estimation. It's a kind of quick and dirty way to do it. It takes about 30 minutes to submit this. It's going to take you a little bit longer to do your FAFSA and CSS profile, but you do need to set a time aside the time for do it. And again, schools use different formulas. There's different factors they take into account. There's merit and need. There's, other grants that you may have been awarded that you're going to apply towards your financial aid. So again, this is just a good estimation, but it's a really great starting point. And simply said, it's a measure of your financial strength. So all of this is measured based on your financial aid forms. You can also use the EFC calculator on the College Board. So College Board also offers this resource as well. So My Intuition is just one of the ones that gives you the whole kind of cost. But the College Board also offers an EFC calculator, which will provide you the estimated cost of attendance after a financial aid package. And what's great is that the EFC calculator through the College Board can actually be school specific. So if you were to go on MIT's website, for example, you will be able to find a financial aid calculator there, but that's all run through the EFC calculator as found on the College Board. And so it's really great to first use the net price calculator, understand the cost of attendance, but a more realistic idea of what it could cost your family to attend and potential loans that you'll need to take out. My Intuition or the EFC calculator is going to be a really good deal. And then it's figuring out what the school's need is. So if you use the EFC calculator and you're applying to a need-based school that is full need, for example, MIT, Harvard, Amherst College, these are examples of full need schools. You'll know that if your family's expected contribution is $2,000, if you're applying to a full need school, you'll know that they'll pay for the rest of that and your family's only committed to paying $2,000, right? So that's how you kind of factor it in. You work out what your family's expected contribution is, and then you work out what the school's actual financial aid policy and how much need they can meet. And that's where you can kind of make the balance of what it'll actually cost you. My Intuition is a little bit better because it does kind of all of that in one go. And in terms of finding the support and resources and contacts that you can do it, well, admissions office is always a great place to start. So most admissions offices will have a website. On their website, we'll have a page dedicated to financial aid information, or at least link to what their policies are. Some schools' financial aid is part of the admissions decision, right? So a need-bind school, that's not going to factor in. But if they're a need-aware school, admissions officers are going to be aware of your financial aid needs. So depending on the school, some admissions offices might be really savvy and be able to really talk you through the financial aid process. Other schools might just be able to give you the general information. It depends really kind of how they have structured their school. Again, MIT, for example, we're a full need school. We're also need blind, and SFS, Student Financial Services, and admissions are completely separate. So myself as an admissions officer, I'm only here to give you the general information, what our policies are. But when it comes down to the detail-oriented process of it, we definitely recommend you go directly to the financial aid office. And in general, that's always a really good rule of thumb. You're going to get the most accurate, up-to-date information by going to the financial aid office. And you can hit their website. There'll be information of what their policies are. Some of them might even have net price calculators built right into their system. And then also how many schools have admissions officers who are either regional reps or not regionalized, but here to counsel students. Many financial aid offices have the same, where you'll have a specific financial aid officers who will be assigned to your case once you go through the admissions process. You know, most schools aren't even assessing your financial aid package until after you're admitted. So you're usually assigned a financial aid officer who can be your point of contact to help you navigate the process. And so if you do have more questions or concerns about financial aid, or have a little bit of fuzziness and you're looking for some clarity, you can certainly ask an admissions officer. But I definitely recommend, first up, is look if the institute that you're interested in has a dedicated financial aid website. Give that a good read through, and then look at the contact information and resources that they provide for you. And again, that's where you're going to get the most accurate, up-to-date information about the current financial aid policies and the types of packages that they're offering to students. And I think with 2 minutes left, if everybody's okay, we do have 2 questions in the Q&A that are left unanswered. And so maybe we can take a stab at answering those now, and then we'll wish everybody a wonderful evening and sign off for the night.
Sorry, yes, we were furiously typing, but I don't think that our typing is fast enough to cover the topic of financial aid. So happy to kind of take the one that I was typing a response to. And that one is, I've heard that for early applications this year, the CSS profile will be used exclusively due to the FAFSA releasing later on. Could a college change your financial aid package once the FAFSA comes out? And so my answer to that is, first and foremost, the different institutions are going to be using different applications as a baseline, like not connected to whether changes in FAFSA are happening or not, and in different combinations. And so the changes to the FAFSA and whether they will actually change the method on how a financial aid package is calculated is going to differ from institution to institution. So for example, you might actually have institutions that have an institutional method that they use, that they will continue to use. However, that being said, your financial aid package, once the FAFSA comes out, we are committed to making the financial aid packages as accurate as possible, given the information that we have, provided that the students have filled out all of the applications. What that means now for our colleagues in financial aid is it means this is going to be a very rough next couple months. And so I ask that everybody treat our colleagues in the financial aid offices with lots of grace, because they are working right now to just, because of our commitments, they are working incredibly hard right now to make sure that we are able to, regardless whether we're on early action timeline or a regular decision timeline, that our decisions are going out with accurate financial aid package information. I will also add the caveat that every financial aid package is tentative because of pending all of the verifications and things that come with that. And so just to note, anytime you get a financial aid package, you always want to discuss that with your financial aid offices to make sure what is final and what is still needing to be filled out, to make sure that what we're giving you is accurate information.
It's a great response, Steph. And I think with that, that's all the time that we have. We did have a request from someone in the chat that we leave our contact information. So Jess and Stephanie, if you can drop the best email or even phone number for people to contact us as well. And I did see a question about in-person programming. Keep your eyes on the STARS Network website. At the end of the day, this is still brand new, right? We launched a few months ago. Things are constantly being added. In-person visits will be added as schools kind of ramp up. And so just stay patient. Make sure you're keeping an eye on the STARS website, the events, all the information about any opportunities to visit our campuses, fly in, more webinars will be posted on the STARS Network website. And with that, I wish everybody a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for attending.